from John 13 to the end of the gospel, you have pretty much Jesus' last, hours on earth before the crucifixion. He's arrested later that night and then crucified the following day. So pretty much the last, almost half of the Gospel of John deals with that time period. Just really the end of his life here on earth as we would know it. Now, obviously, we know that was not the end of his life because he defeated death and conquered it. But that's what's going on right here as we're looking at this as you move forward. And so a lot of this, pretty much what's going to be spoken here is being spoken to his disciples, specifically to the apostles. So he's going to teach us something right here. And this is when it gets down to it. It's just the intimate setting with the apostles now. And we're in John chapter 13 and verse 1. The Bible says, "Now before the feast of the Passover, when Jesus knew that his hour was come, that he should depart out of this world unto the Father, having loved his own which were in the world, he loved them unto the end. And supper being ended, the devil having now put into the heart of Judas Iscariot, Simon's son, to betray him. Jesus, knowing that the Father had given all things into his hands, and that he was come from God and went to God, he riseth from supper, and laid aside his garments, and took a towel and girded himself." So he girds himself, he pulls his breeches up, basically he's getting ready to do some work, okay? That's what it's talking about when he girded himself. He's getting ready to work, all right? And now, we're looking at some lessons on what it means to be a disciple. Okay, what should a disciple be? What should a disciple look like? How should a disciple behave? And Jesus is about to teach us something very important right here. This is probably one of the greatest lessons I believe we could learn from him, is this right here. And so I want us all to pay attention to what we're about to learn, what Jesus is about to show us. And it's very simple. It's not very difficult, but it's very important. I think this is going to be the heart of, if we want to be like Jesus, I think this is where it's going to really come to play. Now, I say that, it doesn't mean just doing empty acts. It means actually from a heart that loves God, from a heart that wants to serve God. That's where we're to do these things. But we look here, and it says that in verse 4, "He riseth from supper, laid aside his garments, and took a towel and girded himself. After that he poureth water into a basin, and began to wash the disciples' feet, and to wipe them with the towel wherewith he was girded. Then cometh he to Simon Peter, and Peter saith unto him, Lord, dost thou wash my feet? Jesus answered and said unto him, What I do thou knowest not now, but thou shalt know hereafter. Peter saith unto him, Thou shalt never wash my feet." That's a bold statement to tell the Lord, isn't it? Tell him, you're never going to do that. That's a bold statement right there. That's Peter. Jesus answered him, If I wash thee not, thou hast no part with me. No part with me. Simon Peter saith unto him, Lord, not my feet only, but also my hands and my head. Jesus saith to him, He that is washed needeth not save to wash his feet, but is clean every whit, and ye are clean, but not all. For he knew who should betray him, therefore said he, Ye are not all clean. So after he had washed their feet and had taken his garment and was set down again, he said unto them, Know ye what I have done to you? He said, here's a lesson. Do you know what I've done to you? He's gone through all 11 of them. Washed their feet. He finishes that. He says, do you know what I've done to you? Verse 13, Ye call me Master and Lord, and ye say, Well, for so I am. He says, you should call me Master, you should call me Lord, because that's exactly who I am. Okay? If I then, your Lord and Master, have washed your feet, ye also ought to wash one another's feet. And this is the lesson. This is the lesson. If I'm your master, if I have washed your feet, ye also ought to wash one another's feet. For I have given you an example that ye should do as I have done to you. Verily, verily, I say unto you, the servant, and kind of we're getting more into it, the servant is not greater than his Lord, neither he that is sent greater than he that sent him. If you know these things, happy are ye if you do them. So you want happiness in life? Then if you know that, do it. And that's going to bring happiness. So do what? What's he talking about? What's this lesson? What is he trying to teach? Jesus showed us, he asked them, know ye what I have done to you? Do you know what I just did? He gave them a master class in discipleship and what it means to be a disciple. And that was a disciple is to be a servant leader. Servant leadership. That's biblical leadership, is servant leadership. And if you think about it, the people you respect the most, the leaders you respect the most, are the ones who will get in and do the dirty work with you. When you know that, and we need to know that. People need to know that. Once you know your boss or whoever it is will do that, it's like, okay, they don't ever have to really do it again. I know they're willing to, though. I know when it comes down to it, they will do it. And that's leadership that people will respect, but that's the leadership that Jesus exemplified for us. And he says that will bring you happiness if you can do that. So it goes back to really what we've been looking at, being a disciple. If we're going to be a disciple, then we have to be self-denying. Because to be a servant is to be self-denying. He said, hey, you call me Lord and Master, and you're right, I am. But think about the humility it took. The self-denial it took for him to prepare all that, kneel himself down, and wash their feet. Okay, there's a lot of people just don't like feet. They're like, feet are gross. They don't ever want to touch feet. Okay, now go back to first century when they're wearing sandals and they're walking around in a climate like this during the summertime. Or during the early spring is obviously when this would have happened, April, mid-April. And think about how nasty and filthy people's feet would be. Now remember, at one point someone wanted to follow Jesus. He says, hey, you want to follow me? The Son of Man hath not where to lay his head. He said, I don't have a home. Have you ever thought that through? Jesus didn't have a home. He didn't have a bed. If he didn't have a bed, what else didn't he have? Food. What's that? A shower. That's what I'm getting at, a shower. Now, let's be honest. How often do you think they bathed? Right? When they could. And obviously, Jesus isn't going to break the law, so he's not going to just go where everyone's at and be naked. He's going to be modest. I doubt they were showering regularly, like we consider regular. Maybe once a week. I don't know. You ever been camping for a weekend and couldn't bathe? And you could just feel just the dirt and stickiness all over you, and sometimes you catch a whiff of yourself and you're like, whew, right? Okay, this was how they were back then. All right? Sandals, filthy feet. And he kneels down to wash their feet, to clean their feet. That's servant leadership. That's what we should be striving for. Now, there's some churches that they have this as an ordinance, foot washing. Okay? We don't practice that. I don't believe you have to. I think he was giving an example of us being servant leaders. Serve others. Do the things that people don't want to do. Not that it doesn't have to be that I'm doing something that you won't do. It's that I'm doing something that I know you don't want to do. And how do you know what people don't want to do? Well, because probably I don't want to do it. So if I don't want to do it, I imagine other people don't want to do it. So then let me be that servant leader. Let me do that. Let me take over that. And so this should be something that we exemplify, that we're willing to do things that others don't want to. You know, the world says, oh, it's random acts of kindness. Okay, well, let's just be servant leaders. Let's just serve people. Let's just do what most people don't want to do, what some people are unwilling to do. Let's just do it anyway. And here's the kicker. Without getting a thank you. Do it without getting a thank you. If you can do it without getting a thank you and not complain about it, your heart's in the right place. Your heart's in the right place. because you didn't do it for them. Well, you did do it for them, but you didn't do it for their recognition. You did it for influence. What do I mean by that? For possibly an opportunity to share the gospel with them, for a chance to have a good testimony with them, so that maybe when the next Christian shows up, they're more apt to listen to them, or possibly to give you an open door to witness to them. But it has to be a lifestyle, not something we're trying to, I'm going to try and get this one. We should be trying to get all of them, okay? That should just be it. We're trying to get them all. We're trying to win them all, right? But we have to train ourselves to be servant leaders. And it does not come natural, because it's the stuff that none of us want to do. Like, honestly, there's things just no one wants to do it, right? There's just certain things. I work in a hospital, okay? In and out all the time. Sometimes you walk past rooms and you just like smell what's in the room, and it's just like, oh, okay, you could smell, people can't get up and go to the bathroom at times and things, and just the smells that are there. And every time I walk past, I don't mean this bad to Brianna, Miss Susanna, or Janessa, okay? But I'm like, man, nurses have the worst job in the hospital. I think they have the worst job in the hospital, because they deal with, like, the doctor's there for like 3 minutes and they're out, okay? And the nurse takes care of like everything. Like, praise God for nurses, because they're the ones that do like the brunt of the work. They do I'm serious. If you know anything about it, it's the nurses do all the work. And I think, man, I couldn't deal with that. I couldn't do that. Just the cleaning up that they have to do, cleaning people and just that type of stuff. And I don't even know everything that goes into it, but I know it's a lot of work that most people don't want to do. And when you think about what a nurse does, is they serve people. And that's the type of attitude that we need to cultivate all the time. And it's not easy to do. It's hard to do, because it's not just like, okay, fine, let me do the things that most people don't want to do. Fine, I'll do it. And we're complaining about it. That's not, no, not what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about we're going to do it and we're going to be joyous about it. We're going to be joyous about it because we're helping people, because we're doing what the Lord wanted. He says, hey, if you know these things, happy are ye if you do them. See, it should bring joy for us to serve the Lord, to do the things that He's asked us to do the example that He set for us. He's not asking you to do something that He would not do. He's not asking you to do something He wouldn't do. He already showed you what to do and how to do. His whole life showed us. I mean, that He left heaven. What in the world? He's the King of Kings and Lord of Lords. And this guy leaves heaven to come here to subject Himself to human authority, when He's over it all. And He did all of that to purchase us, to buy you, to pay your sin debt, to pay my sin debt. That's what He did. His whole life's an example of this. And we're called to be like Him. So how can we start to be servant leaders? What can we do? What can you do to be a servant leader? And I'm not just talking about just here at church. I'm talking about just everywhere. Everywhere. How can we serve people? This is the attitude we want to cultivate within ourselves. Because I'm telling you, it's hard. And then you're going to have bad days. All right? And there's just days sometimes I don't want to be around anybody, right? I'm grumpy today or whatever it is. But we still have to work to cultivate that and say, Lord, help me have more days where I want to than days that I don't. Lord, help me to be like You. You showed me what to do. Now help me to live that. Lord, please, that's what I want. That's what I desire. I desire to be that because I want to be a witness for You, because I want to focus on what's eternal, and people are eternal. That's it. Just people. Nothing else. Nothing else. No toys, no vehicles, no guns, no clothes, no makeup, no vacations, nothing, no job, none of it is eternal. Only people are eternal. Only people, and that's what really matters. And this is where we have to force our thinking to be on souls, on what's eternal. We sang the song, Set My Soul Afire. We want our soul set on fire for the Lord. Then we have to stop focusing on all these things of the world. We have to stop letting that drive us and focus on things that are important, things that matter. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he, the Bible says, right? So what are we thinking about? Where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. If you want to tell your heart where to go, start putting your money there. If you want to tell your heart where to go, start putting your money there. Because where your money goes, your heart's going to follow. Where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. So tell your heart where to go. Tell your heart what's important. You know, all this stuff I'm talking about right here is going to take something. Something important. Starts with the word F, ends with eighth. All right? Faith. It's going to take faith. It takes faith to do these things. Because without faith, it's impossible to please Him. So we want to please God. I'm going to stop here right now. There's something I do want to touch on, and I'm going to do my best to remember next week to touch on this. I want to deal with what Jesus tells and the conversation that Jesus and Peter have. But Jesus says to him, if I wash thee not, thou hast no part with me. And I want to deal with that because a lot of people tend to think that, oh, well, then he's not saved. And so what is that talking about? What is Jesus saying? What's going on right there? So I want us to look at that next week. I'm going to stop now. But I just want to leave us with this. Jesus said, I have given you an example that you should do as I have done to you. Now, I say we need to be this way all the time, everywhere. But who is he talking to and what's the setting? He's talking to his disciples. The setting's his church. We need to do this all the time, but we especially need to serve one another. We need to serve one another. We can look at another point Jesus said, by this shall all men know that you're my disciples. What is it? Do you guys know? Anybody know? By this shall all men know that ye are my disciples. If ye have, what is it? Love one to another. If ye have love one to another. That's how other people, outsiders, all men shall know that we belong to Jesus Christ. We love the brethren. We love the brethren. Okay? We have love one to another. That's important. He laid an example for us how to treat each other. Not fake, not doing it to put on a show, but genuine, sincere servanthood. Serving one another. There's 1,000 ways we can serve each other. All of us can't do everything, right? But everyone can do a little something here. Just see something I could do that. Someone else is doing that. I could do that. Maybe the thing that you'd prefer to do, someone else is doing. Do something else. Ask God, show me ways to serve people. How can I help someone? How can I be a blessing to them? Because I want to honor you, Lord, not because I'm trying to show everyone at church that I'm a servant leader. No, that's not it at all. It's because this is the atmosphere we want here. This is the culture that we want within our church, is that we love each other enough. We love the Lord enough that we serve one another. We serve each other. We help each other. With whatever it could be. If you hear someone has a need at home, it's like, okay, hey, I can help with that. Let me help with that. Whatever it is, it doesn't matter. It could be anything. I can't think of everything that could be done. Someone needs help moving or something like that. Whatever. just something like that. We should be able to, you know, as you know, one preacher says, see the need and take the lead. If you see a need, just take the lead. Just take care of it. It's funny as you pastor, every pastor would understand this. I know no one here is a pastor, but every pastor I've spoken with would understand this. Everybody will come to the pastor and they're like, "Hey, pastor, we should do this. We should do this. We should do this." And it's like, "Let's start this ministry. Let's do this ministry." It's like, "Cool, great, go ahead." Oh, and that just kind of fizzles out. They want they want things. People want things in a church. They just don't want to have to do it. They want somebody else to do it. And it's like, maybe you're seeing it because you should do it. And not that everything everyone brings up, it's going to be like, okay, let's do that. Let's do that. You got to keep focused, but you understand what I'm saying. A lot of times people will be like, well, we want this. I want this. This would be great to have here. Cool. Then, like, if you're really serious about that, let's talk about it. And maybe that's something you can do, and whatever it is, I don't know. That's not always the case, but a lot of people want someone else to do it, but they want to experience it, but they don't want to have to put in any effort. And that's not what we want here. I'm not saying it's bad for people to come in and grow. We want them to come in and just right where you're at, let's just help you grow. And we got to teach them these things. But that's why we want to cultivate this spirit here. So when they come in, they see that, they're recognizing, hey, this is how it is here. And it just becomes by default, they don't even recognize it. That's what's happening to them. They're becoming servant leaders because they're seeing us do that. They're watching it in so many different people and they're like, oh, this is just how it is. This is what Christianity is. Oh, amen. You're seeing what Christianity is. I've heard preachers say in the past, soul winning is better caught than taught. It's better caught than taught. You go out and see it. You see it happening. It's, oh, I could do that. It's not saying it's something wrong with teaching how to do it, but it's better caught than taught when you see somebody saved. And it's just like this. That's what we want to do. We want to cultivate that here in our church, a servant leadership. Father, we love you. We thank you for the word of God. I pray that you would just help us as we take just a minute now, bow our heads, bow our hearts before you, Lord, asking you to help us serve one another, follow your example, and serve each other. God, just, I know in the weeks and even months to come, Lord, we may forget the specifics of this sermon, but help us to keep the heart of it, Lord, that we would seek to be servants and serve one another. Please just cultivate that spirit, that attitude within us. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.